All right, hey Tyler. So real quick, I'll run through just some ways to sort of piggyback on part one. The first thing we looked at was setup. You saw that stock ball position off the left ear. There's ball positions forward, there's ball positions back. For the sake of today, stock off the left ear, so good job there. Now your left wrist was sort of in this position here with the shaft pretty much straight up and down. So that puts the left wrist in a golf terms strong position, in a striking terms weak position. Okay, so that's gonna promote this a little bit. Now, what we want is the left arm through the left elbow, through the left wrist, through the shaft to be in alignment there. So it's strong, you're still centered, you're still balanced, you're athletic. Sort of the feeling of, walking under center to take a snap or playing defense in basketball, so your legs feel the ground a bit. But this left arm in alignment with the shaft. Now just make sure that when you put the hands slightly forward like this, that you don't open the club face. So this will put you in a stronger position here. That's setup. Then we looked at, okay, sometimes maybe you get a little inside, but it'll clean up with the setup tweak. Now, winding up leverage to the top of the backswing. What I want you to feel here is, envision, I've got two fists right in front of me, and there's someone on the ground right here, and for some reason I want to throw a punch in that direction. So watch this. I'm centered, I'm balanced, I'm athletic. I'm going to draw this up in this direction. Now notice the right hip gets loaded back and strong. The right rib gets loaded up, because what I'm doing here in terms of body movement, now my right arm's not going to be doing this, but in terms of how my body's moving, I'm creating leverage here. And what I've also done is, you can notice my left knee slightly lower than my right hip slightly higher than my left, and my ribs are angled in this direction. Now that's going to allow you, I'll show you down the line, as you wind up, okay, this goes back a little bit, this loads, this is all set up to move in this direction. Because in your golf swing, the hips don't quite get wound up in this way, so they're a touch level here in this way. And then from the top, they start spinning really fast first, and the upper body starts tipping back. So because you don't quite create leverage in this way, like you're going to hold a bunch of weight up here, so the right side's strong and angled to attack this way, you get this in a little bit of a weak position, and then from the top your hips started spinning and the upper body tipped back. So you noticed when the club was about parallel to the ground, your hips were pointed over here and your upper body was already not level. So the key to this movement is, and you've probably been seeing some of this, I wind up to draw a punch here, my body's leveraged, I'm ready to go that way, because that's what we're striking. I'm wound up here in the body, and then if I throw this punch, the first movement is, you'll notice my left knee, my left hip, my left rib, and my left shoulder move this way slightly before they level out at parallel to the ground, so that my pelvis and sternum line up here. So for you, by winding up the right rib, by winding up the right hip properly, in this direction, wind up, bang, okay, this already has you set up to move more this way, to attack the ball better. Because your tendency, right, hips spin out, upper body tips back, we thin it, or because the hips are spun out and the upper body's back, the club's actually behind you, so then on the through swing, your upper body over rotates, and that thing can go left as well. So the key to this is, my center is at the bottom of my arc. So at setup, it's slightly behind the ball. Then I stay centered, 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 creating leverage up here. Okay, now I'm ready to move and attack this thing, because I'm gonna punch them in this direction. So now I'm up here, I move down and left, and now I level out, belt buckle, sternum at the bottom of the arc. Okay, so with an 8-iron, that's slightly in front of the golf ball, 9-iron wedge, 7-iron divot, low point of the divot, bottom of the swing arc. Okay, so upper center, lower center, stacked on top of each other when I'm level and the club's parallel to the ground, okay? So now everything lines up and I'm ready from here to just fire my arms, because then my arms will return to center and everything will turn together to the finish. If we get up here, not quite leveraged, hips spin, upper body tips back, now we've got the arms doing something independently and the body all sort of disjointed, okay? So what we're gonna focus on is right hip, right rib, right shoulder, creating strength. I'm centered. Then from here, I'm set up to attack this thing. Because you're thinning it, we need to get this way a little bit, okay? So it's gonna be wind up, level, or this left knee starts to move this way because I'm attacking this golf ball. Then, naturally, at the bottom of the half pipe, if you think about snowboarding, I'm gonna come down the half pipe, level out at the bottom of the half pipe. Now everything's ready when this club fires to center to turn all together. So you saw pelvis, ribs, shoulders lining up with the club in front of the arms. If I do it toward you, this way, level out, turn through. Now the club's in front of my arms, right on my eye line, and this all matches. Versus where you're at, a little bit less leveraged, a little bit more level in the pelvis, hips start spinning, upper body tips back. Now the arms are gonna pull the upper body, so your finish position tends to look a little bit, upper body's pointing there, pelvis is pointing down and to the right, okay? So let's take this one step at a time. Think of being centered and balanced. Think of how the body lines up. Think of the arc. Think of creating leverage, coming down the half pipe, leveling out, and everything turning through to the finish. So one thing I would like you to feel is what you'll see in your ball striking is a little bit more of a divot. You'll see one way to do this is slow down your movements. You know, get it to where you're hitting some shots at about 80% so that you can get these hips to match more with your upper body so that things are sequencing more together. So if you hit a bunch of shots more sort of shoulder high, down to the bottom of the arc to shoulder high, and get the body to match up, then your arms are going to sync up with your body. Lower and upper center of gravities will be more together, and you'll be able to control your low point sort of on demand because we need everything synced up and sequenced. So I hope this first part helps. Please feel free to reach out to me with any follow-up questions at any point. I appreciate it. Thank you.